Bleach's final arc, the 1000-Year Blood War, is set to air early October, and leading up to its release, I decided to summarize every Bleach arc up to where the anime currently ends. So without further ado, this is the agent of the Shinigami Arc. In the first chapter, we're introduced to our main character of the story, an abrasive teenage high schooler named Kurosaki Ichigo. However, he isn't just your regular high schooler, as he has the ability to see spirits and ghosts as well as interact with them. While he's just vibing, he sees a girl in black phase into his room, and this girl is Kurosaki Ichigo, a soul reaper that came from a place named the Soul Society in order to vanquish evil spirits. It's important to know that normal people cannot see her, so it came as a surprise to her when Ichigo was able to see her, let alone kick her. Ichigo, being Ichigo though, disputes her claim of being a Soul Reaper and accuses her of playing around. In response, Rukia uses a technique called Kido, a spell that only Soul Reapers can use to bind Ichigo, after which she explains how souls, evil spirits, and the Soul Society works. It's relatively important, so keep this in mind. There are two types of spirits: Holes, which are the friendly normal spirits like the girl Ichigo was talking to, and Hollows, which attack the living in order to devour their souls. Soul Reapers have two responsibilities. One is to send Holes, the good spirits, to the Soul Society, which is essentially the afterlife, and the second is to purify and send the Hollows, which are the evil spirits, to the Soul Society by killing them. The latter being the reason why Rukia had appeared in Ichigo's room as she was trying to track down the Hollow. Mid-conversation though, they get interrupted by the scream of one, and it turns out the Hollow is attacking Ichigo's family. Ichigo breaks out of the Kido with pure physical strength, which is a pretty impressive feat, and charges at the Hollow unsuccessfully. The Hollow goes for the killing blow on Ichigo, but Rukia ends up taking the hit for him, and as a result, there's only one option both Ichigo and Rukia can take in order to save his family: take a risk and turn Ichigo into a Soul Reaper. The procedure works out, and Rukia realizes that Ichigo's spirit energy, which is the energy system of the verse, is extremely high. Upon becoming a Soul Reaper, Ichigo is easily able to one-shot the Hollow that was terrorizing his family. His family don't remember what happened and assumed a truck crashed into their clinic. With no sign of Rukia, Ichigo assumed that she went back to the Soul Society and proceeded with life as normal, and decided to head to school the next day, where he runs into Rukia, his new classmate. It turns out that when Rukia turned Ichigo into a Shinigami, he ended up subconsciously taking all of her spirit energy. This of course created a problem. Because she's not a Shinigami anymore due to losing all of her spirit energy, she cannot return to the Soul Society. So now Ichigo has to carry out the duties of Rukia until she's able to regain her powers. During Ichigo's Shinigami activities, he kills a bunch of Hollows, but there are two notable ones to the story. One being a Hollow that was haunting Orihime, Ichigo's classmate and the person that has a crush on him. And the second one is a Hollow that is following the soul of a boy trapped in a bird that killed him accidentally. Quite a bit to take in, but I'll make it make sense. While Ichigo is chilling again, Rukia pulls up on him and tells him that there's a Hollow in close proximity to him. Ichigo swings for its head, cracking the Hollow's mask, and realizes that the Hollow is actually Orihime's dead older brother, who holds resentment to her and wants to consume her soul. After fighting and some heartfelt dialogue, Orihime's brother accepts his fate and is purified. A while later, we see Chad, one of the major supporting characters, who in our first sighting of him displays immense physical strength, as well as a very protective and kind personality when protecting a cursed parakeet that he and his friends found. He brings it into school the next day, and Ichigo and Rukia instantly realize that unbeknownst to Chad, there's a spirit inside of it that needs to be cleansed, so that the spirit doesn't turn hollow. The next time we see Chad, he's stumbling into the Kurosaki clinic. Ichigo's father is a doctor, by the way, with a massive wound that's been dealt by a hollow on his back. We found out that the spirit inside the parakeet is actually a little boy who saw his mother get murdered, and Ichigo gains the resolve to send him to the Soul Society where his mother is. After having a misinterpreted idea of what's going on, Chad escapes the clinic with the parakeet, thinking that he's saving it. As the hollow is chasing the spirit inside the bird, by proxy Chad is also a target of the hollow. Again, normal people can't see hollows, but Chad, being the Chad he is able to box with the hollow with pure instinct, as well as using Rukia as his eyes. Ichigo pulls up to save the day, but rather than getting purified by Ichigo after getting defeated, the hollow is sent to hell due to its heinous crimes. The situation gets wrapped up with the boy being sent to the Soul Society to find his mother. While continuing his Shinigami activities, him and Rukia run into an issue. Every time Ichigo wants to turn into a Shinigami, his physical body is left on the floor defenseless. Rukia ends up going to a Shinigami that owns a store mentor named Kisuke Urahara who is very knowledgeable about things to do with spirits, and it's there where she buys soul candy, which puts a spirit in the unconscious body so it's not defenseless. It turns out though that the soul candy is defective and the spirit gets up to some rather interesting things. Ichigo and Rukia manage to catch the defective spirit, turn it back to candy form, and rather than destroying it, they save it and put it into a doll named Kon, who is a recurring comedic relief character. The next important thing that happens in the story is the anniversary of Ichigo's mother's death. The Kurosaki family go to her grave every year as tradition. She died protecting Ichigo from a hollow, and Ichigo has blamed himself for her death ever since. Ichigo manages to find that very same hollow on the day of the anniversary, attacking his sisters, and manages to interrupt it from killing them. Ichigo fights the Grand Fisher and is overpowered at the start, but as Ichigo gains the advantage, the hollow swaps bodies and is able to run away from a heavily injured Ichigo. A few days later, Ichigo's family and friends go out to see this charismatic psychic TV star named Don Kanoji to watch him exercise a spirit live. It turns out that this spirit is a demi-hollow, a whole halfway through the process of turning hollow, though as stated by Rukia, the process usually takes up to 6 months, unless the hole in his chest is irritated, which is exactly what Don Kanoji does. With the help of Kisuke, the shady shop owner, Ichigo is able to turn into a Soul Reaper, and both Ichigo and Kanoji fight the now turned hollow spirit inside of the hospital, and after all is said and done, Kanoji deems Ichigo his disciple. A while after this though, something strange is happening. When Ichigo and Rukia are alerted of the presence of a hollow, they go to it, but there's zero trace of it, and we soon find out the reason why. While heading to a hollow, Ichigo bumps into his classmate, Uryu Ishida, and displays strength that we've never seen before. He's able to materialize a bow out of pure spirit energy and headshots a hollow from great distance. And after this impressive display of skill, he states that he's a Quincy and he hates Shinigami. Uryu decides to challenge Ichigo to a hollow killing contest in order to prove the Quincy's superiority over Shinigami. We find out through dialogue with Kisuke Urahara that the Quincy's were a clan dedicated to killing hollows, but were wiped out 200 years ago due to their philosophies clashing with the Shinigami. Quincy's held the belief that all hollows should be erased from existence, but Shinigami believed that they should be purified and sent to the Soul Society. Uryu starts the competition by activating Hollow Bait, which summons hollows to swarm the town, which is a method that Ichigo vehemently disagrees with. Uryu and Ichigo kill hollows, but as there are hollows spawning in everywhere, one ends up running into Chad and one ends up running into Orihime. In a moment before Chad's death, he awakens his spiritual power, an arm filled with spirit energy that has explosive power. Orihime also ends up awakening her spiritual power, called the Shunshin Rika, the sixth princess shielding flowers. While getting overwhelmed by hollows, Ichigo and Uryu run into each other, and Ichigo begins to reason with Uryu in an attempt to change his mindset and philosophy about Shinigami, and it works, as rather than just trying to win the competition, they both end up fighting together to fend off the hollows. Eventually, an extremely large hollow appears out the sky called a Menos Grande, created by hundreds of hollows merging together. While fighting the Menos, Ichigo is able to release a concentrated amount of his very large spirit energy to deflect the Menos' attack and drive it away. Uryu ends up helping Ichigo after the fight, who was getting negatively affected by using so much spirit energy at once, and this event marked the beginning of their friendship. This event caused the Shinigami in the Soul Society to direct their attention to Kakakura Town, and two Shinigami, Abarai Renji and Kuchiki Byakuya, who is Rukia's older brother, come to the town with orders to capture or kill Rukia, due to the grave offense of her transfer of Soul Reaper powers. Ichigo and Uryu fight Byakuya and Renji in order to try and take Rukia back, and in this fight we learn more about Zanpakuto, the weapon of Shinigami. Zanpakuto have names, and when their names are called upon, they transform and gain properties. These all differ from user to user, and they are called Shikai. Renji's Zanpakuto is called Zabimaru, and it can disconnect itself and move around like a whip. While at first Ichigo is getting slammed by Renji, Ichigo manages to gain the upper hand on him due to a sudden increase in spirit energy, but Byakuya is able to seamlessly break Ichigo's Zanpakuto and stab him, and Rukia allows herself to be captured in order to spare Ichigo's life. Kisuke saves Ichigo and heals his wounds and tells him in order to get Rukia back from the Soul Society, he has to train with him to become strong enough. At the same time, a talking cat named Yoriichi offers to train Chad and Orihime to get Rukia back. Ichigo's training is extremely grueling. He's put in a life or death situation by Kisuke, where he has to climb out of a hole before he turns hollow due to a chain being attached to his chest. During this, Ichigo finds himself within his own mindscape, and an old man talks to him and guides him on how to find his own Shinigami powers. He's able to find his true Zanpakuto named Zangetsu and stop the holification process. After Ichigo and the others' training is completed, they're ready to enter the Soul Society and rescue Rukia. And that's the summary of the first arc in Bleach. If you enjoyed, please do subscribe or leave a like. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a nice day.